Hi, it's Laura from Following the Paper Trail. I wanted to show you a video of my very first mini album. I made this a few months ago and it uses pictures from my dad's childhood. I had been looking for some way to use these photographs for years. He passed away over 20 years ago, but never really found anything. So when I discovered mini books, I knew I have found the right format. With this album, I experimented with page shapes and acrylic and chipboard, and I just dove right in and tried a little bit of everything. So I learned a lot and had fun. I don't know what all papers. A lot of them were graphic 45s, and there was some Mind's Eye, but for the most part, I'm really bad with product names. I named this album A Life Well Lived. It has chipboard letters with crackle paint and beads here saying lived that are actually sewn onto the cover. It's closed with just an elastic tie. Inside, I have a dedication to my dad. He never really understood my need to be creative, but he was also very positive and encouraging of me. First page is a little acrylic tag. You always have to remember, using acrylics, that whatever's on one side shows through the other unless you make them the exact same size. So you take advantage of that and use that as the matting. So that's his name and my grandparents and where he was born in Chicago. I also, in this little envelope, have his baby book that I scanned and then attached the papers to vellum, and that this lives in this little pocket here. I scanned all the photographs in this album so that I can make them the size that I wanted, as well as I could protect the original photographs by putting them in an album with page protectors and such. Here I did sepia tone photos of my grandparents on an acrylic page, and I printed them on canvas paper and then sanded it to give kind of an old-fashioned rough texture. A ribbon with some flowers. It flips around to the other side and ties. Here I have a lock of his hair from his baby book. I also have another lock of it as well that I'm going to make duplicate this book for my brother. I was trying to get it done for Father's Day, didn't make it. Maybe his birthday in October, or Ballsville's Christmas. Since he doesn't know he's getting it, there's no real deadline. This was a transparency photo that I'm going to play around with some transparencies, and if I figure it out, I'll let you know, so it looks more like the actual photograph. Baby steps, toddler type pictures on this top note page, though if it's on the side, it should be called a side note, I think. Here we've got different pictures in sailor suits, so I kind of made it a nautical theme with the stars. Got a little tag of him on his scooter. My kids think it looks like a razor. And I said, well, you know, generations have had the same sort of toys. And also generations have lived without computers and video games. They were horrified. Some more portraits of him, some pictures of him with some little kids that I don't know. Unfortunately, with these photographs, they weren't journaled, so I have no idea who these people are or when they were taken. These are some rub-ons from the Ancestry.com line. Worked in perfectly with the colors and that. Here's some tags of the family pets. Cat. They had a lot of Boston Terriers, so I had to put that in there. Here he is with a little dog sitting up. So cute. And then on the other side, I also have some tags. These tags originally hooked into the rings, but it was real awkward how they set up. So these are all just wheeled toys. Again, my kids thought it was fascinating that Grandpa had some of the same toys they did. Here he is on a big boy bike. He's in a suit with knickers and a hat. Since this was in the 30s and 40s, he looks like a little gangster. But anyway, use some Tim Holtz, kind of those gear things. So that was on another chipboard, or not a chipboard, a cardstock page. Here he is as a Boy Scout. Went to I swear, a million Eagle Scout ceremonies as a kid, because he helped over a dozen boys become Eagle Scouts. Here is some photographs that were different ages in little suits, so I call it well suited, and did kind of little cascading of those photos in his suits. Here's a picture of my dad with his parents as a little boy, and then behind it is a tag with him with his parents as a teenager. Now my grandmother died when he was a teenager, so that's probably not long before she passed away. Little Pimo flowers, dipped them in or coated them with ultra thick embossing enamel to make them shiny, and then put a Tim Holtz copper flower. Here is some chipboard tags. Him on a horse as a kid, and him on a horse as a teenager. He owned a horse when he was in high school. His horse named Corky. Here's his high school graduation picture, again on one of those top note / side note pages. A brass thing that the ribbon slides through. It's kind of like a buckle. I don't know what else to call it. Used stick-on letters, numbers to put the date, and then I used, for a lot of my journaling, I used an old-fashioned typewriter font and did it on my computer. Named this one First Job. I discovered a certificate that he was an apprentice pharmacist. Never knew that. On this page, he was over 20 years in the Air Force, so I used some Tim Holtz masks to do U.S. Air Force, as well as Tim Holtz grunge board wings. Kind of look like Air Force wings, angel wings. And then this is a little pocket with the tags with him in his uniform, him in his squadron picture, paper. It's got airplanes on it, so that was such a big part of his life. Here's my mom when she was young and they were dating. These are some Pima flowers. I have that foamy type stuff on it. I'm going to try some foam puff paint and see what I can do to come up with flowers like those. Here's their wedding photo. My mom had lost their wedding album, and when I was working on this album and taking photos out of frames to scan them, we found this picture. So God had his way of making sure she had one of her wedding photographs. So that was nice. And there is our family again, one of those Pima flowers with the ultra thick embossing enamel. My mom with my brother and I, when I was a little squirt, had red hair then, have red hair now, just have to enhance it a little bit more nowadays. And then this is one of the last photographs of my dad. These tags will represent his grandchildren and his great-grandchild, because his legacy continues through his grandchildren and great-grandchild. Don't have the pictures on those yet, but they do have the names of my brother's son and daughter, and my son and daughter, and my niece's daughter. And then there's the back. This was a totally fun album to make. It was both fun because I got lots of hugs from heaven from my dad, kind of that warm fuzzy feeling you get when you think about somebody who's gone, which was really kind of nice. Got in touch with that, and I also learned a lot. It was just a lot of fun working on A Life Well Lived. So I hope you like it. Thanks a lot.